Welcome to the Blue U in Barboursville, West Virginia. We are just outside of Huntington, and this store serves the tri-state area of West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio. Let's go take a tour.
Hi, I'm Jonathan from the Blue U in Barboursville, West Virginia, your small but mighty local yarn store. Natalie, would you like a tour?
Absolutely.
Well, come on. So one of the things I'm excited about, this is a farm yarn from Frankfort, Kentucky, about 2 hours away.
Messy.
Sure, Morgan Farms. They deal with the endangered sheep. So the Save Them to Shave Them program, they have Jacob and Shetland sheep. And they'll also have the name of their sheep on there. And we have pictures of the sheep and personality. But it's really unique in that they are mill spun, they are endangered, and they're really trying to work to help bring those types of sheep back into more production more. So that's why we love Morgan Farms here. Coming down, we have some cotton, so Araucania, Malabrigo, Cascade 220 for our people who do knitted knockers. We are a store that collects knitted knockers and works with a group knitted knockers for the tri-state. We love Symphony yarns here, so if you haven't heard of Symphony, they are part of Knit Pro or Knitter's Pride, what used to be Knitter's Pride. So they're out of India, right outside of Delhi, and they employ more women. And it's not easy for women in India to get jobs sometimes. I lived there in 2006 and 2007 for 6 weeks one time, 4 months a second. So that's really kind of passionate to my heart to know that those women who really need help feeding their families and stuff are able to get jobs. So yeah, systemic change. You'll see there's 3 or 4 companies that promote systemic change, and that if I can find them, I do try to make that a focus of the shop.
That's not something that I knew about. And this yarn is lovely, so I'm going to pull one out and look at it.
Sure.
Yeah, this is cool.
They have them in a fingering, 2 DK weights, and a worsted that just came out this year called Bella. So you're looking at Viva, that's the DK weight. They have solids and variegateds.
Beautiful.
Coming on down, there's just your standard workhorse yarns like Cascade 220, our cotton yarns for dishcloth, tank tops, some of those things. We do have the Cascade Cherub Aran that is a nylon acrylic blend for our crocheters and great for things like baby blankets. Of course, Malabrigo Rios that most every yarn store has, since it's one of the most popular in the United States. Brooklyn Tweed, again, another company that promotes systemic change. Quinoa Yarn, so they are out of Peru. Maria and Vince, a lovely couple, and they use natural dyes.
Oh, neat.
So it's super soft. It's a great yarn.
Soft.
And we do love it here.
Wool and alpaca.
So the coloring ends up kind of really pretty. And if I had thought ahead, the cable part I would have done with a solid and the top with a multicolor, which would have been fabulous. But
it still looks great.
You live and learn.
What's this yarn up here?
Jody Long and Diamo Light. So I like this for our kind of second beginner knitting class. It's a worsted weight yarn, and 1 skein is enough to make an entire scarf. So when students are learning, they don't have to worry about trying to weave in ends and that sort of thing. So
it's big.
I think it's 200 grams and 400 and something yards.
Okay, let me see if you
and
got that right.
Alpaca and Holland wool.
200 grams, 437 yards. Wow, that is a lot of yarn.
Right, and a great price on it. So it costs less than buying 2 skeins of 100 grams. So that's a great option.
That's great.
We kind of do always have set up a computer. So if somebody wants to look up a pattern on Ravelry, they can do it. I try to keep up, here's what's new in the shop. So if somebody doesn't know, they can kind of look and see. A couple of new yarns for this season, the Jody Long Color Spun, which is a nice bulky. It's hard to see them in the bin, but at the top, Arcania Fiesta. And then something you don't always see, also from quinoa, this is a hand spun. So you can see
Oh
it's a
my
very
gosh.
thick and thin and super soft, and a humongous 400 grams. So it's 4 skeins in one. We do have fiber, some deep dyed, so you may want to feel some of these. That is organic Polworth. And then this one I think you're really going to love when you get to it.
Oh, yeah,
it is a
nice.
camel and silk.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
So even for our spinners, we do try to make sure that we have some good various options. We do have kind of notions that most stores have and try to get a good variety in those that kind of carries through the counter and on.
I have a question about your soap.
Yes.
Wild Mountain. Is it made nearby?
The Wild Mountain Soap Company is made in, I think it's Fayetteville, West Virginia. It is right near the New River Gorge, and we sell it individually, or it's used a lot in our kit that is a face cloth and a soap sack, which make great gifts for people.
Definitely. The soaps are beautiful. And the packaging on them is really pretty too.
So Natalie, this is probably our customer's favorite part of the shop. Below is a little bit of our fingering weight yarns and some sport weight, but we have 6 indie dyers from Glasgow, Scotland, Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. So the Fiber Punk is a gentleman named Marcus who, like you, has a very strong social media presence and following, and 2 different kinds from him, just a self-striping and variegated, really soft. When you knit it, it has a very buttery feel. So it is wonderful.
Nice.
Tulip Tree Yarns out of Lexington, Kentucky. And they end up with entertaining Kentucky themed names. So Bourbon and Firelight, Bluegrass are a couple of theirs. Just other fall names. So this one is appropriate. Picking Apples.
Oh, nice.
For this time of year, so we do love that. We have Blue Thistle Fibers that is right here in Huntington, West Virginia, so about 5 minutes down the road. It is by Claire. She uses natural dyes only. And these are kind of some of her summer colors. Her fall colors are coming out soon, and she should come in and switch some of those out before long. Deep dyed yarns, probably there's a few at least of your followers that are going to be familiar with that. She's out of Nicholasville, Kentucky, and we do have her Good Juju, which is a sock yarn, Buddy Sock, Figment, and then some worsted on down. World of Inspiration. So this is one of our kind of most talked about parts of World of Inspiration. This is a person who's a full-time nurse with 2 kids out of Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Carla, that dyes yarn, she does a fantastic job. Mink and Moose. So they are very popular here in the store. They're a West Virginia-based yarn out of Pence Springs, West Virginia, really kind of in the middle of nowhere, an old coal mining area. And that is Lana. And we kind of know our independent dyers pretty well. Lana has come up and done a trunk show. Claire from Blue Thistle has done a trunk show with us. So we do love them. So these are kind of the cords that started the shop. A lot of different colors, a lot of different sizes. There's the standard clothing size that's a 60-inch and 2 30-inches, which allows for the body and the sleeves. There's an accessory set for things like socks, hats, that sort of thing. A 120-inch extra long that people either use to cut down, or if you want to try on a shawl sometimes you make it without a pattern, you just kind of know what you want, but you're trying to see, is it long enough or not? And your needles aren't going to necessarily stretch that far. The cords will help you do that. And then thicker sets. So once you get maybe about, depending upon your needle tip sharpness, the thicker set will help you with some of the larger sizes from like 8 and up, where the thinner ones may not. Now, like for high sharps, those thin ones will usually go through about at least an 11, sometimes up to a 15, but some duller tips, the thinner ones won't do that at all.
I want to know more about how you just, started this store. What made you want to start a yarn store, and what made you pick this place?
So it's a crazy story.
Oh, good.
I was visiting a yarn store. I'm sure you're familiar with the Knit Keeper, knitting barber cords.
Yeah.
Were the first ones out that you use to take your knitting off of your needles and trowel and that sort of thing. And there were a couple of stores that had problems getting them, so I figured out I could make them and let the stores know that I could make some for them. And called them Knit Keeper cords, and had some extra left, and thought instead of throwing away, I'll just put it on Etsy. And they sold like crazy for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I had extra money sitting in my account and didn't know what to do with it. So the thought was I could either take an epic vacation or do something with the money. That was the premise behind opening a yarn store, because there hasn't been one in this area for about 13 years when I opened.
Wow. That's really neat, though. You did your own funding. I guess it's not crowdfunding because you did it yourself, but so that's incredible. So you got everything, you had this money ready to invest in here. And then how did you find this space? It's a really kind of a cute there's a cute shop over there, right? The Pink Elephant or here or something?
The Pink Elephant used to be a gift shop. So it's been going for a number of years, but the Elephant has stayed. And it's a local landmark.
Okay. So if you say we're by the Pink Elephant, people know where to come.
People in the area know. And there's a huge shopping center across the street, lots of restaurants. So if anybody comes to visit, outside of the interstate, it's one of the main roads in the area. So it gets lots of traffic. And I really just kind of stumbled on the location, just driving around, because it was not advertised anywhere, just a sign out by the road. But I probably looked for a month before finding it, then signed the lease and opened the store within 5 weeks.
Whoa. And when was that? How long have you been here?
So the store officially opened July 1st of 2023.
Okay.
Just a VIP opening the night before. So it went really fast.
Yeah, you've been here just over a year now.
Just over a year.
That's so exciting. And you have kind of a unique situation because this is not your only job. You have another full-time job. What do you do?
Right. So I'm the project manager for the Special Collections Department at Marshall University. So we collect the history of the university itself, family papers from local prominent families, documents and history from local businesses. You never know what's going to come in. Somebody could come in with, we've had a piece of the airplane from the Marshall football plane crash that killed the entire football team that was on board. So those things become very moving. We have props from Warner Brothers. They made a We Are Marshall movie. So they sent a semi-truck full of stuff. And we have some of that left still, but it's just an amazing array of stuff. So that's kind of my day job. When I get off there, I'll run home, spend a little bit of time with my dog, relax for a few minutes, and then come to the shop. I do give myself Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off.
Yes.
But so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm doing both jobs at the same days.
You have, we moved it out of the way for this, but you have a table in here, which is amazing because, you've done a really great job with the space. So what kinds of community things do you have in the shop?
Every week there is 2 meet and make sessions. So the first is Wednesdays from 1 to 3. It's mostly the more retired people. There are a few who are just people who don't work, younger people like residents at our local middle school who would be off on that day will come in. And then Saturdays from 10 to noon, we have a meet and make that's more of our working people and some younger people also. And then we do other things from time to time too. So we will have kind of a knit in and dinner out. So maybe from 5 to 7, we'll gather and knit. And then at 7 o'clock, leave and go to a restaurant. Sometimes we'll do challenges. So coming up, we did it last year. We'll do it this year. We do hats for Ukraine. So I think last year we sent about 200 hats over to Ukraine.
Wow.
that were all knitted. So we're getting ready to do that again this year, and usually do it and send it in batches. So every month at the end of the month, send it on so at least some of it starts getting there.
So your entire store here, can we also find it online?
The entire store is online, so I don't think there is anything that is in the store that is not on the website.
Wow. And where do you ship?
Definitely US and Canada. I'm pretty sure it's set up worldwide, but usually tariffs and everything make it a little more difficult to do, but definitely within the US, Canada. So stuff easily goes into a bag and ships.
And then for people who maybe don't live, nearby, what's the best way for them to keep up with you?
We have a newsletter, so comes out usually about twice a month. That's an option for them. And then Facebook and Instagram, and that is just at the Blue UWV. And U is EWE, like the sheep.
And where did you get that name from?
So my favorite color is blue. I was like, I want blue something. And I was like, you. It rhymes, blue and you rhyme. So it's like, man, blue you. It'll work.
It's a cute name. I really like that. And you have a cute logo too. Did you design that or get that designed? Or?
I did not. I went to college with somebody who's a graphic designer, award-winning, has worked for USA Today and a lot of other media companies, newspaper and magazines, I think online stuff now also. And I'm fortunate because to get a logo design costs a lot of money. And this is somebody who is just one of my really good friends that was like, here you go.
Now, is there anything coming up in the next year or so that you're excited for? It could be for the shop or could be for you.
I'm excited for Hats for Ukraine again.
When does that happen?
It will start sometime about mid-September.
Okay.
And there's no end date other than sometime December, January.
Okay.
So it's kind of, we just advertise it, and sometimes people come in and sit in the shop and knit and make hats. Sometimes most of the time they'll do it at home and bring them in.
Okay.
So it's any kind of hat they want. It could be knit or crochet. It could, like, any way you want to make it, any design you want to make it, any yarn, any color, that sort of thing. This is the inaugural year for our Heart of Appalachia yarn crawl. That is October 25th through November 10th. So this makes it or not by that time, at least for next year.
Yeah.
It will be, should run those about that same time. We shot for fall. So when you would travel through the Appalachian states, you would get to see those leaves change colors as you're driving from shop to shop.
And so how many different areas or different states does it include?
The goal is for it to expand. This year, since it's the first year, we kept it to 3 shops in West Virginia that are within about a 3-hour drive of each other or so, just to make sure if we encountered any problems, it would be very easy and quick for us to fix. The goal is to expand it down to about North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, and West Virginia.
That's awesome.
And that really compromises that whole heart of Appalachia that is defined by the Appalachian Regional Commission.
That's going to be amazing.
What else coming up? I don't know. There could be a potential move. The shop is 240 square feet of sellable space, and that makes it very tight. And on our meet and make days, it's not uncommon to have 6 to 10 people, which makes it really too crowded in the store for people to shop. So maybe within the next year that will be something.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard of the National Needle Arts Association, so it's TNNA. There's some exciting stuff coming up with them, and think we should be included in a test project they're going to do, and I can't talk too much about it, but probably only 3 to 4 stores, and they've asked, and I said yes. So hopefully that will happen probably about somewhere between April and July of next year and run for about a year.
I think it's amazing how in a short time, because you've only been here a little over a year, you seem like you're already so involved in the business side of the community and already with the yarn crawl and everything. it's amazing, and it's definitely going to make an impact. Like you said, there hasn't been a store here for
About 13 years.
which is now you're serving a need in in the community that I'm sure people are really happy to have you here.
Yes. And I've found that they'll come from an hour, hour and a half away to get here.
Wow.
Because there's some areas where there is no store between here and there, and they still have to go an hour and a half in any direction they go.
Mm-hmm.
If you've heard, there's a yarn adventure truck.
I've heard of that, yeah.
They came a few weeks ago. At the same time, Morgan Farms out of Frankfort, Kentucky. So Morgan Farms is about 2 hours away. Morgan Farms brought sheep. The yarn adventure truck was here. There were over 200 people here that day.
You had the truck in the parking lot?
The truck was in the parking lot. The sheep were outside in the grass.
Oh my gosh.
And there were people who came 2 and 3 times back and would just play with the sheep, go home, get friends, come back, shop some more, play with the sheep. So that's something we do hope to do again too, is, do some of those types of events. Because how many yarn stores really have sheep or farm animals that you can see and touch and have the shepherds and shepherdesses explain the type of wool, the coat, the crimp and the fiber and that sort of things to you.
That's fascinating. I love learning about stuff like that. And you've got, some grassy areas out here, which not everyone has.
Right.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of my concern in the move too, is if I move somewhere, I'm not going to have some of that. And so I'm trying to focus on finding a place that does, but it's going to be a real challenge. And I don't know if that will happen or not, but maybe I just bring the sheep in the shop.
Yes, you could do that. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. It's already been so fun. I'm really excited to meet everyone later, and it's going to be a great day.
Well, thank you.